Gordon Freeman. Anyway, well, delivery. Final parts have been delivered. Just did the unboxing. The 6 external hard drives, the Athlon CPU with the stock cooler, which is the most adorable little fucking thing. Look at this thing. Like I didn't imagine they were going to be this small. And I might even be able to swap out this fan for one of those Noctuas that I'm not using. So we got that cheap ass Athlon, which is fine. Stick of RAM, which was in an envelope, and the hard drives. And I'm going to sit you here. Also, there was hot sauce. Crybaby Craig's apparently is really good. I'm going to use that just to sprinkle it on everything. So I'm going to show you how to shuck this particular hard drive. JDM Watt of serverbuilds.net walked me through it, and it's really a simple operation once you know exactly what you're doing, because there's no screws or anything to pull out. You're just sort of like staring at it, and you're like, what? So what you do is you take a thin screwdriver. This is my Sears Professional 1/8 by 4. You put it down on its rubber feet like it's supposed to be. You go right in here in the front of this clamshell because it's 2 parts, and you go and you just get that screwdriver in there and get it in there. Just get it in there. Like, you're not damaging anything. You're just pulling this part back. And I didn't take the protective plastic off this. So now that you could actually see, there was 4 clips biased towards the bottom section. That's like actually they're alternating. I didn't realize they were alternating. And I did break one of these on the removal. It didn't fall off completely, but it's just a matter of gently, there's little things need to get like little push. And I'm using this as my cat's poop scraper because I don't have anything thin enough. He said you could use a credit card. I would recommend something a little more robust, which you basically just, once you pull this away, you sort of gain access to get something in there. Like, there's one, that's out. There's another one, that's out. And with the tension on that, it's slowly pulling forward, so you could just do that again. And as this slides, that's going to start falling down because there's literally no tension, so you could move it over. Just be careful. There is a hard drive in there we're trying to rescue. There we go. That's out. That one's out. And that one out. There we go. Boopity boop boop. Boop 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 boo. And then she goes whoop. And that's just a plastic shell. We didn't break any of the clips. So that's nice. And the hard drive itself is held in place. There's one screw here holding on the USB board, USB and power board. So that's what's reading on the back. So we've got to unscrew that, which I haven't done this yet. So let's do it right now on this one. And this should be the only Phillips screw. And I'm going to sell these in the yard sale. These, there's no point in getting 6 of these. If you just went out and said, I need a hard drive enclosure from Amazon, and you just tried to find, you know, 6 hard drive enclosures, this shit would cost you like $30 a piece. So I'm going to sell these plastic cases as long as they're not damaged. That comes out. Then this little light array is just popped into one of the holes, and that's an LED there. So this is what lights up the front, is this little light stalk, which is in this little rubber cap, which is so cute and cool. And now the actual hard drive should come out of this because it's resting in rubber baby buggy bumpers. Come on. I don't want to damage anything. Yeah. So that's there. You can see here, we are pulling this off. We actually didn't need to take that screw off till now, but that's what plugs in and controls the drive and has that one screw. And then these have to be taken out with a Torx. There's a Torx, which are rubber feet, which is what hold it into the actual unit. Look at that. This is really well designed. Like, that's, we could take these little rubber feet off. Now we have 4 screw pegs that are Torx to take out. And let's see what we're looking at. Looking at a Western Digital 14 terabyte internal use hard drive. November 2019, made in Thailand. Doesn't say if it's red or white. The label is white. But that's it. That's one, baby. Now do exactly what I just did. Well, I have to do it 4 more times fully, and then I have to take that one out of the case. And then don't drop these or shock them. And never put them down with the circuit board facing down, because if there's anything on your surface, it's metal or it's going to stick to it or wet. Bad news bears. So, Burb.
What is that noise? Hey, Dr. Coomer. Hello, Gordon.
Yeah, that's Half-Life VR with AI sentience. It's madness. It's apparently taking place in Gary's mod, which makes my PP hard for Gary's mod. Anyway, so here's all 6 drives stripped out. Here were some extra pieces of yoga mat. Greatest material on earth. Just gonna put that on here. I'm gonna do the work here instead of in there because, well, everything's here already. And it's gonna be a lot. I feel safer carrying an entire chunk of 64 terabytes. Wait, I'm gonna do 3 in each because I'm gonna leave these are the ones that are the outward facing drives. Since I have 2 empty slots, I'm not gonna leave the empty slots in the fucking back. That's dumb. Leave the empty spots in the front so I could always just add them easily. So I'm going to now just start mounting. Oh no, I have to unmount first, which means I got to take this because I need to find those things. The thangs. I need to find the exact right thing. I may have. I don't like that I have this. Like, I'm walking around with it and I'm not like slipper. Like, this is bad environment. Bad voodoo. Z is doing bad voodoo. I feel like these torques are going to be too small. Nope. Perfect size. T9. It might be a T10. It's a little bit of a loose Torx, but it's going to get the job done. That's why I likes Torx. I likes the Torx. So I guess I'm going to shut the camera off while I undo 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24 of these. Yeah, I'm just going to... And I'm saving all these. I'm going to put them back in the bins so that when I sell these, they have all the mounting hardware to put a new hard drive in. So, burb. So, do you want to hear what, let's see. The cables will keep them straight once you have them zip tied. Western has a really annoying lately have to say. Well, so discovery is all wonderful part of doing any computer build. And you have to be prepared for this. No matter what I say in this video, when you do it, something will be different. Even if you get the exact same things I link in the description, it'll be different. So I'm taking these things off here, and I'm like, all right, I'll mount them as I take them out. And there's screw holes, but there's supposed to be 3 screw holes. And see where there's a thing there? But they didn't bother to drill it because they're an internal, so there's no bottom screw holes, which means these are going to basically swing around like teeth. Now, he's right. The way I've done the wires, which you saw me do earlier in the last part, the wire ties will hold it all together and keep it from moving, and they won't bang into each other. And what I'm going to actually do now is bend this in a little bit like that, so that actually this is going to squeeze down on the drive. Which means I'm going to take this one out. Because, literally, I'm only attaching at the top, and I'm making giant, expensive teeth to swing around. So this is part of the process, everyone. If you think this is not part of the process, you haven't built computers. Consoles don't make me do that. Yo, consoles are stupid. Okay, so now that I've added a tension restraint, and there's just a 2-pin. I don't know what that's for. We'll find out. And then you just got to make sure you put them in the cage right. That's the fascia of the cage. We're not filling this first slot. We're doing the second slot down, which this way, because we are attempting to keep these holes with the air pass through. So now we're going to have to bend out our rubber retention. And see, look, actually, with the tension I've now added to it by bending the fuck out of it, it's actually pretty good. And I'm going to take the extension off. We don't need. I like working with a short extension. It just feels more like using a screwdriver and not a drill driver, because this big bulky head can get in the way sometimes. And I'm on like 1. I'm on the lowest amount of tension. I just don't feel like doing this a lot more times. Slide it out there or in there. Well, I get to save a bunch of these screws in this case. Isn't this wonderful, everyone? So there's one. Now, I might temporarily put something between the drives, just in case I push one, before I get the wires installed, I don't want to bang the circuit board into the other drive, which wouldn't be a problem if Western Digital didn't fuck around with this, but Western Digital is fucking around with it. There's 2. So we've got a pretty decent spacing. And that will be held in place. It's going to have to be held in place only with the power wire. Remember, I'm going to shove up in between to get rid of all that excess, which shouldn't hurt anything, but it's not helping my case. Because that means they're going to have the eSATA cables be the ones that actually position this. Plus whatever. I mean, you could just honestly tap the hard drive. The actual bulge is there. If you wanted to tap your drives in place, that's a possibility. I wouldn't. You could also just place anything you want sort of between them. Actually, you have good access from the top. Maybe I'll put a temporary thing into the top. Whatever. I gotta undo some more of these, and I've decided I'm going to sell them in pairs because that's the most efficient way to get rid of my Ziploc bags. I'm just breaking them, by the way, with this. Just a little bit of that. And then they unscrew pretty easily. And I've already got 2 in that bag. I could fit 2 in a giant gallon Ziploc bags. And all those screws are just hanging out there, and all the internal components are in there. So I'm just going to drop everything, beep, in a bag. So when you buy these in the yard sale, there'll be 3 separate auctions. And it'll be like this drive, and like this drive. And all the parts are inside of them. And I'll probably redo them before I actually ship. But for now, that's fine. So I'm going to just continue along. And when I'm done with all this and they're ready to go in the other apartment, we'll come back, fucker.
Watch out. Watch out for the electricity.
Don't worry, my body is completely numb.
Good. Alright, so now that I've got these sort of dangling teeth, the Southern Dentist speciality, I can bring them back in here. Along with the CPU cooler, which is too small. I was going to change it out to this, but apparently that is fucking tiny. That's an 80. What? How? Here's our Athlon. Here's our CPU. Here's our RAM. I'm going to lay these down here. Front slot's empty. No bottom screws. We got work to do anyway. I'm going to stop that. Also, I was informed by JDM Watt that these fans, the ones that he recommended, these Arctic fans, you can just put them in order like this, and it automatically, the first fan will control every fan. So I can get every one of these 5 Arctic fans somehow wired together through this jumper system. I could plug this. He says he plugs his into the CPU cooler, and then the CPU cooler doesn't ramp up and down, but the actual fans ramp up and down. I'm not sure if I would agree with that, because the system fan is right there. The problem is the system fan is there. And these fans, I may have to, let's run the back at least, run it through this gap into there. And these fans, it's actually a good thing that I wired them OCD with the labels, because that means the wires are on this side, which brings them into this side or closer to this side. Yeah. And then this, alright, so I'm going to modify the power cords here. These are the power cords. This is the big one with, what the fuck are you guys called? Oh, shit. I have to pause and figure out what these are called. Molex! I didn't have to pause. My brain just turned on. It just takes a second. Gordon. So the Molex are fine. I explained why last time. But what I'm going to do is, so that I can use 2 rails, I'm going to take this connection for my power supply, and this connection for my power supply. I'm just going to fucking lop these off, remembering which wires are where on which side. And then I'm going to modify them, because I don't need any of this. I just need to be able to get to the rails of my power supply. And then I have 2 of these, which are the 5-way extensions for the power. And I'm actually going to keep the 5-way one on this side so I can plug this into it which will power the fan controller that's built into the fucking computer. So that one needs 5. This one's gonna only need 4. And you could just take this and slice one of these off and be done with it. But I do need to take this off. So there's no reason in going motherboard connector down 2 feet of wire to Molex just to have it go out of Molex and back to a D sub. It's not complicated. It's 4 wires. 4 wires. Not even 5 wires. This one that is 5 wires, I'm just going to ignore one of the wires. I'm going to ignore the same wire that's on this one because I could do that. Because I could just match them up and go, okay, it's exactly the same thing. This 5th wire, boom, yanking that one off, tearing it down the thing. Don't even want it. Don't even fucking want it. So I'm going to stop the camera, clear my space a bit, stop the video from playing because I actually do want to watch this series. It's pretty fucking hilarious. And then I'm going to come back and we'll see how I'm doing this. He says, JDM, what? Says I could just pop out, so they could just pop these out of here and then pop them into this, but I don't see how that's going to be a physical possibility. So I'm not going to try it. I think I'm just going to, I feel more comfortable cutting and soldering, heat shrinking, and just get it all together. So cleanup time. Okay, so we're not completely moved in. I need a white marker, extra GoPro battery. So we're gonna start a thing. And what thing are we starting? Well, this. Try not to bang into the pole, which would be good. As you can see, I've added something to my beautiful purple yoga mat. This is rubber, the foam rubber, which doesn't respond well to extremely hot pieces of solder. So this is a pizza box lid. So there you go. Actually, we got a pizza box lid. I don't think I can link that in the description, although I might be able to. I'm going to heat up my soldering iron. This is a Hakko. Again, this is like real custom bullshit. I could just cram all the wires into a bundle and just shove them in the front and be fine. But no, less wire is more. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the motherboard wires. Now this is the 5-way. This one's 5 conductor, and it goes to an eSATA. And
here's something I found on Wikipedia. October 26th is the 299th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar.
I'm so glad that she's always listening. I'm gonna, after I shut the camera off, I'm gonna put these on. These are the Rad Zeros. And I brought up the list because, you know, doing this shit, you need to stay focused or be distracted. So I'm not going to cut this one apart yet. First, I'm going to get the, here. This is an extension. That's a final product, is what we want, one of those. Here's the thing we're actually, the reason we're just dismantling this monster is because this needs to be about this long and then attached to that. So first we got to figure out what makes these 2 wires different, because this is a 5 connector with only 4 wires. This is a 5 connector with 5 wires. And you can see they've actually marked 1, 2, 3. So number 1 is disconnected. So I'm going to, can I release this with a push button? I don't see a way to release this particular pin. I can slide it up though. Separate it from the group. There's probably a release somewhere on this that I'm just not seeing. Where's my little flat screwdrivers? I know I still got them somewhere. Oh, I put them back. And then I'm going to use the white magic marker, or the white pen. It's actually a pen, which is very, very nice. Made in Japan. You can't find very, very nice white pens, white paint pens, anywhere else. Truly. So let's see. Top, bottom, where are we thinking? If I can't detach this properly, I'm just going to yank it. Push it out from the front, maybe. Honestly, it doesn't matter. We're going to end up just cutting this. So, this is commitment point 0. Now, how much faith you have in yourself and your soldering skills, if you're doing this part, you could skip this part if you're not going to be short and everything like I am. But how much faith you have is determined by the length you leave on any end. Because I don't have the crimpers to crimp this. Actually, I might have the crimpers to crimp this, but I'm not going to. So if I leave 4 inches, that's plenty of time to fuck up, recut, fuck up, recut, fuck up, recut. If you leave 2 inches, you have a little bit more faith in yourself that you can't fuck up and recut it. So I'm gonna leave like 2.5 inches, like that much. And this 5th wire we know we don't need, so I'm gonna cut that real low. So now that is going to literally go on the floor because we don't need anything to do with that. What we're gonna do now, so that we matched off of the original cable that has Molex. So we know it's the exact same 4 wires and 4 sides. Although these wires do crisscross. That's interesting. Pay note to that. These 4 wires come out perfectly straight, and they stay straight all the way to the Molex. These 4 wires, one of them crosses over. So I'm gonna have to affix that by, well, fixing it. By literally fixing it. Because there's no assigned plugs on the power supply for that. That was just something they needed to do for specifically the eSATA connector. And they did it on this side. So now those are 4 individual wires. And this is going to be 4 individual wires. However, I don't want to, because it's sided here and there, like it's a directional connector, I have to know which side is which. So I'm going to mark it with this pen. And this actually says 1 and that says 4, but I'm going to mark it with white anyway. Here, I'm going to mark it on the wire. I'm going to mark it on the side of the Molex. This is the white side, and because we're about to slice this off, and you could follow the white end down, and it's this first line towards the window, and it's the one that is against. And that's 1. I'll even mark the connector. So that's all. That's all we needed to do. Now we get to cut it. Cut it the same length as this so that we're really OCD about it. Sure thing, buddy. And I'm using my Nip-X to do that. So now what we have to do, we know which way this is going to plug in. Here's our adapter cables, which we're going to be cutting more. So these are the ones that go back to eSATA, but without that sleep pin. And I hope the light from that isn't throwing the camera off because it's probably a lot of intense light. So if we plug this in like this, now we know that the white wire is this wire, so we can move it over again. This is the white wire here, which means we can bring this white wire, and is there a crisscross? There is a crisscross. Ooh, interesting. We're gonna have to get fancy. So the white wire, but we're concerning ourselves with one wire, one connector at a time. So this is the white side. Come on, white pen. Drawing on plastic is not its specialty. White pen, white wire. That's all we got to know. But now we are looking at a reversal of 3 and 4. That has to be reversed. So I'm going to cut this off. So that means that that one was doing a thing that it needed to do. It doesn't matter that I separated. I got to separate all of them. I just want to make sure that I know what I'm doing once I get it to the motherboard side. Because remember, this was a perfectly straight run over there. Pin 1 for that side of the Molex. They're coming out. Pin 1 is fine. 1 is white. I could color code these and it'd be a lot easier in my brain. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Has to turn into 1, 2, 4, 3. Yeah, the 4th one's coming over, the 3rd one's going out. So I'm going to cut this off now. And basically, all I got to make sure is this new end that I'm now got. Instead of it being 1, 2, 3, 4, it's 1, 2, 4, 3. So I'm going to have to do a thing when I solder it. And that's the only difference. It's not a complicated thing. It's just that twist fucking matters. So now the white marks 1. We're going to drop that off. This is the only thing we got to concern ourselves with. We're going to cut it. You notice I'm narrating a lot. Even if I wasn't recording this, I'd be narrating it a lot because I'm about to do things. So now the length on this has to be a little bit longer because we're coming out. This is going into the power supply down here. And this is as far as it needs to go. So it looks like I'm going almost all the way on one of them, which I'll make it this first one. And then we'll concern ourselves. Yeah, it says 1, 2, 3, 4. They are numbered. So I'm reversing the last 2 away from the one side. So we're going to cut this with a lot of extra little space. Oh God, no, I didn't fuck up. It's fine. I'm just gonna keep throwing things on the floor. It's a male dominance thing. I feel like I'm doing this right. So now that has to be switched, or I could straighten it out and then switch it on this side. Either way, we know what 1 is. Well, we at least know when 1 is on there. So yeah, when it's on this side is 1. So this side is 1. So now I'm going to separate all of the leads. And I'm going to separate these a little bit more. They don't have to go very far. I mean, we have heat shrink. I have a whole kit of heat shrink. Links in the description to a kit of heat shrink. And so now this is going to be our far end one, which is going to remain 5. So I'll have 3 hard drives currently running on it. 3 hard drives are these connectors. And this is the extra hard drive in front, which isn't going to be used right away because it's going to be empty. But this 5th one has to power this dangling fucking lead from the stupid... I miss Molex. Molex was good. I just threw all my Molex away. I'm just eliminating the need for a connection and replacing it with soldering. I just have to remember to reverse 4 and 3 to 3 and 4. Okay, so... time to strip wires and tin them. So, a little bit of flux, which this stuff causes cancer, so just don't. We've got our standard solder, which I could put... I'm going to put that there so it doesn't roll away because the cardboard's going to allow it to roll, and that's not. And I've got my wire strippers. I don't know what gauge this is. It's not going to be big. Always try the bigger one first. And there it is. We are looking at 18 gauge. And I'm going to drop those there. Again, textured matte so nothing rolls away. Gauge. And I'm stripping roughly a centimeter or a little less than half an inch. Again, depending on how well you solder, you'd want a little bit more or a little bit less, because that's your choice. So now that I've got 4 exposed wires, and I'm going to try to do this without, you can just take them and twist them like this. Make sure your hands are clean when you do this, just to keep them from fraying. Or if you're real good, you could do it without any of this shit. But now that we have them, I'm just going to drape all 4 in some of this beautiful red cancer. And actually, I have this for the heat shrink, but I'm going to use it right now. And that's doesn't seem like it did anything, but trust me, I love how that doesn't turn off. It's great. All right, so wipe off your Beyblade. I've got a sponge here because I lost my sponge. My sponge from my sink. Get that nice and clean. You can see it's got a beautiful solder tip. We're just going to move my nip back so I don't get those covered in solder. And it's just going to drink it onto the tip, and we're going to go and lay it down. We're going to drink and lay it down. It's sticking to the tip, and then it's sticking to the wire because that's flux. And you don't need it on there long. We're just tinning these wires, and that's going to keep them... Add a little more to that one. It's a little light. If you stick on the wire for too long, it's going to melt the shield. And I can feel the wire in my hand actually heating up. And this causes cancer, so I'm going to open that window. Somehow. Get over there and open that window. But now we have 4 ready-to-go connections on this side. I'm going to strip and tin the other sides, and then it's just a matter of touching them together and going boop, 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 and then actually putting on heat shrink first. Then touching them together, because it sucks when you forget the heat shrink part. Don't forget the heat shrink part. Burb. I'm going to shut the music off before that gets me pulled. Oh. Zeros. All right. I wanted to show you putting the heat shrink on. I took the smallest ones in there because they fit over the wire. I'm just hoping they'll fit back over the wire when I have it basically double thickness from attaching these together. It should. Put them on. Pick a side to put them on. I'm picking on this side because these sides are split all the way anyway. I'm trying to keep the splits here slightly shorter. Get them on. You're going to put the heat shrink on, you're going to fucking forget. Slide them down as far as you can because you don't want the soldering that you're going to be doing to accidentally start shrinking the heat shrink. Because even though you're not directly touching it, I'm also putting the cut side first because I don't have to slide that over something and it's a little more mangled. So the new side is facing up. If you did a good job, it wouldn't matter. But I cut this with like a wire cutter, so it's not great. Did not do great. I'm sliding it all the way down if I can. It's a lot easier to put the broken side over a single end than it is to put it over two soldered ends. So now we have this. And this one is marked. We know what number 1 is here. And we know that these are 3 and 4 and have to be reversed for this. So let's just pick one and go. Oh, I took the liberty to cut the 5th one off of this side and then just use some electrical tape. I cut it as close as I could. There was no exposed metal. I just shoved electrical tape down into it and wrapped it so that this is the end of the line, because I didn't need another 5th fucking connector dickling around, which actually doesn't affect my ends because these are identical. So I just know when I put them together, put the long one, and I realize this, I'm going to be able to, if I take these wires out of the motherboard and the card, now that I've got them all set up in line of it, I could actually mount all the wires to those hard drive cages, power and data, and then just install one and route it, and then install the other one and route it. I'll do this one first, get it in, have every wire already attached to those hard drives, slide it in, moving it as I'm putting it in, and then sort, and then I could do the other bundle. So I'll probably end up doing that. And they're going to be going this way, because the starter of this, the way these are designed, in case you didn't remember from the first part, is they have to be with the source on the first drive, which is actually empty, so I have at least this much extra room until a new drive gets installed, then it'll be there. So these 3 are going to be powered on the left. This is the left hard drive and array, and this is the right hard drive because it still has all 5. So I guess we solder now. I brought out my helping hands, but this is the one that sticks to glass. I don't know why this exists, this pan of ice. Like, I love pan of ice. I have another one that's like a full, like, mountable base. And when I saw one that sticks to like surfaces, I'm like, well, that's cool. It's got a full-on VESA mount, or whatever you'd call this mount. Unfortunately, it's also the better head, and it doesn't stick to my table. If I was doing this work on the glass table, I'd be fucking fine. So I think I'm gonna get it to hold. I can just lay it down. Like, it doesn't need to be standing up either. It's just gonna hold something in a particular orientation, and I'm not sure which orientation I want yet. If I literally do like that, that might be fine. And then I open this up, because it doesn't have to be up. I just have to know white, which is number side 1 out. Screw this in there. We're not trying to crush anything either. It's just going to be held. Just so the wires, I could do one at a time. It'd be weird if I fucking soldered those together. Biggest fuck up of all time. Game changer. So here's one, here's one, here's one, here's one, and here's one, here's one, here's one, here's one. So we can push these down. I'm literally going to be soldering these 2 things together. So that's... How do I want to do this? I think I want to hold the soldering iron in my right hand and move this in a way that I can just with... Wow, this is really awkward. There you go. That's perfect. Because you just want to be able to go boop and hold. So it doesn't matter if this is fucking falling on the floor. We shouldn't need to add any more solder since we tinned both ends. So I'm going to try that first. And if I need to, and what's my temperature? 855 still? So once you bring these near each other and then try to touch both with the soldering iron. Come on. I feel it warming it up. I'm going to try lifting. I got to apply a little bit of force. So I'm going to go under it and push down. There isn't that much tinning on these. They're tins that don't... What's it called? But they're not like... I may have to add more. Yeah, no, I'm going to add more solder to this wick before I spend all day just trying to melt what's not there. Now, the ideal way to solder is to heat up the surface and then have the solder attach. Done. You want the wire to be hot and then apply solder and then it melts on the wire. I'm melting the solder onto the stick, onto the actual head of this, and then just doing it and letting go. Which is not fine, but if you start burning your hands, it means you're doing about the same job. So now we've got one. We've got wire number 1, which unfortunately is the easiest to get to wire. So now we've got to do wire number 2. And we could actually... Aw, shit. See, I held it on there too long, and now this heat shrink that I was like, big news about this heat shrink. Guess what? Heat shrink shrank. The shrink shrank. Alright, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to undo this. That's another nice thing about wires and soldering. Come on. I feel like my soldering iron needs to go up higher than 855 for some reason. Come on. Wow. It's like I'm not getting contact. Alright, switching to fire. There we go. I got it off. We smoked the rubber a little bit. So that heat shrink is basically useless. And I realized I didn't put the big piece of heat shrink on. The heat shrink for the entire thing when we're done. Because I could just do 4 individuals. But I'd kind of like to have one that slides over everything. And then I'm going to have to do that now. And this is a bit obsessive. Will it fit 4? Will it fit 4 and then 4 with additional heat shrink? Yeah, we should. So I'm going to cut this in half. We only need 1 of these. And I'm going to do the same. Actually, I'm going to try to cut it with this one. It's a little bit sharper. I could just get a scissor. But that is not the style. Wow, look how nice that cut. Wow. Okay, so that, I'm going to slide 1 over this. Just before we fucking forget. Remember when I said heat shrink was important? There you go. There's 1. I'll put you back over here. I'm not going to attempt to get off the heat shrink that just shrank. The heat shrink that shrunk because I was doing bad. The other ones should be fine as long as I do it fast. What I'm going to have to do is, can I pull this off? No, I can't pull that off. Take another piece of this. I'll have to cut it short. Shorter than the other ones. Put this on this side. The number 1 side. The side we just had attached. So that one, they're normally supposed to be sliding up, so this one's going to slide down. Put that right there. There you go. That's it. Like as minimal contact as you can get it done. And don't try to slide this back. I'm twisting it because I don't want it to melt on there. But as soon as you can get it to slide over that, boop. We've just booped. So now, again, wait for that solder to heat. I could try to heat shrink it now. Like, boom, I'm just heat shrinking this. It's great. But there's still warm solder under it. And if you add heat from this through that to try to shrink that, there's a chance that it'll just, the solder will just go. Don't. Wait a minute. You could do them all at the end when you're done. I'm actually going to separate this a little more so it's easier to manipulate. So now we're going to take number 2. And number 2, we're going to do the same thing. Fast this time with extra solder. I'm going to apply, try to get my hand angle proper because it's more about working around the unit if you don't have the right helping hands going on. Done. Blowing on it, blowing it. So that's it. If you like, it's attached and we're good. I just don't want this heat shrink. The heat shrink might have gotten kinked right there. Also, if there's a sharp edge, you're going to want, well, not one of these cutters. You're going to want a good cutter. A shallow face cutter. I have really good ones in here somewhere. Why is that set in here? I really need to go through my tools. That'll be a whole live stream one day. This one's not bad, but it's not the most precise one. I love that tile hammer. I want to beat someone with it. And they'll be like, why are you hitting me with this soft hammer? And I'm going to be like, die. And they're going to be like, nah, it's too soft. I enjoy it. Hit me with the hammer. Wow. Oh. No. I thought maybe I had put it by the, Wow, where the hell's I have a really nice one that I'm going to want to find and I'm going to spend, there it is. I see the handle. Yeah, no. Let's just never talk about how my tools are organized again. They've been like that for years. Like, it would feel weird to not have them like that. So this is just a very, very fine cutting appliance. And if I can get in here, there, just take the top off of that. And the other side, we're just getting rid of any of the edges that would fuck up the heat shrink. I'm sure someone's looking at this going, what the fuck is this you're doing? This idiot's doing what the idiot does best. Just straightening that out so I can get the heat shrink to glide over this. Come on. I'm under the thing there. There we go. There we go. All right, we've got 2. We let that sit for a while. I'm gonna give it the shrank. Try not to burn the cardboard. And this is how you heat shrink. I wouldn't go up and down and go left and right, then up and down. You just want to get it warm and it'll just do its own thing. Done. And then the big heat shrink will go over everything when we're done. So I'm gonna do that a shit ton more times. Actually, first, before I end this section of the video, let's turn that a bit. So now we have to swap 3 and 4. So normally it would be that one, but we're not doing that, we're doing this one, which is just gonna make dealing with it slightly more annoying, but nothing that we can't handle. And I hate this fucking helping hand. Get a helping hand, Zeos. I'm hearing the comments already. Zeos, just get a real helping hand with a little magnifying glass. Like I can't. I just can't. I can't. I've broken so many of those fucking things. They never help. They're always like in the way or they fall down. Oh, you got to get a good one, Zeos. I'm hearing it. I'm hearing your comments, your commentary. There, that's all I need. I just need it to line up for a split second. For a split fucking second, I need it to line up. What if I could start this together with the heat gun? I do have a full-on heat gun, by the way. I'm just not. Come on, don't fuck up. We're starting to get a tension going on now. Not a tension like, oh, it almost stuck to itself. I'm going cheap on this solder, and I really shouldn't be. There we go. Oh. And I'm blowing on it to keep the heat from going through the wire. The wire is definitely going to start fucking with the heat shrink. In fact, I think it did already. I don't want it to do that. This heat shrink might have been a little bit too long, and it's within a ½ inch of where it needs to be, and it should be further up and smaller. Oh well. I'll just have to deal with it. All right, but that's 3, and that's 4, and that's 4. That'll 4, and that'll be 3, and we'll be good. What a pain in the dick. Hold on. You don't have to get it all the way either. We're not trying to like seal this in for water. We're just trying to hold the wires together. So, I realized that when I slid everything down, it's just easier to separate every single one of them. And then I put the heat shrink from this side to this side because it was just so much longer at that point. And then I had to figure out through the heat shrink which side was 1, 2, 3, 4, which was 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now they're both done. We've got the longer, this one is longer than this one from where the first drive starts, because this is the one that's towards the front of the case, this is the one towards the back of the case. I would say we could start, let's install and put the drives in yet, but we're not there. I gotta shut this off. The Hako needs to go off. We're gonna let everything sort of cool down for a moment while we contemplate life and what brought us to this moment in our lives. Close that. I shouldn't need any more heat shrink for this. You know what? Floor. All these tools, just go away. You cool the fuck down. Let's cap the cancer. Your cancer. You're literally, it says it'll give you cancer. Don't. Carcinogen. State of California, state of Ohio. I don't think anybody doesn't put it on that shit. So if I'm going to do what I said I'm going to do, I need to remove all of the data cables. Because they're easy to plug in. We have giant exposed open space here. I'll worry about these later. Let's get the hard drives to have the most freedom to install them. Come on, buddy. Here we go. That's good. All right. So now those are unplugged. So we have... I don't think you can crimp your own eSATA cables. That's the only problem. Let's put those on the bed. We just need the space. We just need the space. I'm a big fan of like destructive cleanliness. Like take everything and just destroy it into a perfect, like move shit out into the deck, into other rooms in your bathroom, fill your bathroom with garbage. Because you need the space. Wish I had more light here, but I guess that's what the outside is for. This is what the sun is for. You see I was crushing that. Let's deal with the fans. I wasn't going to deal with any of that until I knew what was here. And now that I know what's here, I know what that's doing. I know what this has got to do. This... I'm just going to bring this over to the other side. I'm going to break on through. I'm going to bring this fan wire up. We're going to bypass everything through this little passway hole, which is lovely that this case has it. Wish it was a little bit bigger. I thought there was smoke. It was a hair. Okay. I'll have to reach back. I got to give this thing the reach around. Pull that through there. No, that's the fan controller. Why can't I see it? Oh, it's caught up in this fan. Okay. Yeah. Now that I know how small the CPU fan is, I'm really not concerned about a lot of things. Like, there's a lot. That's a little baby fan. I can't wait to see the temperatures in this thing. So now these have to go across. And my OCD is telling me to go and take this and put it under, put everything under, not through this giant hole. But at the same time, giant hole. Don't be that person, Zeos. Don't be that person. Just put it through the big hole. Put it through the big hole. You got enough problems that you're gonna have to deal with in the future. That little hole at the bottom is just gonna be. Don't let that be your Moby Dick. So let's actually make. These are for these two fans. These fans are to get wired to the controller, the onboard controller, with the switch. So fuck off wire. So I can fuck off those wires and fuck off all these wires. That'll be in a second. This, which is coming from that first fan, I'm going to put here on the system fan plug. This is our origin story. Because we're going to have tons of room to install CPU, because it doesn't even, I don't even know how, it just, I don't even know. Wait a second, is that wire even... Is that even big enough to, like, strap to anything? Yeah, I guess it is. I wasn't sure if this was long enough. This thing is so tiny. I remember when CPU coolers got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until it was so big, and now it's just like, eh. I mean, no, it's an Athlon. Maybe we need to deal with these first. All right, these are the ones that are the built-in fans. And the easiest way to deal with extra length, and I literally need these to be so short, like I could cut them again, I could cut and solder, I'm ready to, no, we're not doing that. In case I want to remove these fans later. What we're going to do is we're going to wrap them around the fan completely, many times as we can, because the fans are a perfect thing to loop through. And this very last one, oof, sorry, motherboard. I didn't mean to smash you with that. This very last part, right here, we can just put a wire tie, and then the fan wire is that long, which is perfect, because this is as long as it needs to be. Actually, we could even bring one of these here. On, what is this fucking label? What does it say? 10 watts total. I gotta cut that off. I don't need little warning labels. I hate little warning labels on power cord. Just don't cut the actual cord with the labels on. Duh. So if I'm wrapping the wire around the fan this way, then this one should come around this way and they could plug in. They might even be able to hold itself. Here, I might not even need to, wow, look at the perfection that is. The perfection that has been achieved. Ready? Watch this. Come on. You could do it. That's plugged in and secured. Because there's literally no other place for that wire to go. It's got one wire coming this way, one wire going this way. Plugged in. It's like Back to the Future over there. And then the wires can be tucked away like that. Perfect. Can I do that one more time? Because I only have 2 fans coming off this connector. So I guess we'll do you. So now I have to figure out which way I want to start. I guess I could just try it. It's not like it costs me money to try it. It's just time. And time is money. Oh fuck, it does cost me money to try it. Oh wow. There's a lot of... Oh, that's the power connector for the actual motherboard. It's just in the way. You're ruining my chi. So this can go all the way here and then back down. Which unfortunately means that we have too much. So that doesn't help. Let's try the other way. Let's just try the other way. Let's try going this way. 2, 3. See, now it's too short. Now this can't go around the other way. So it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Let's go back the original way I had it because it was a little bit neater. It made more sense physically, unless I go this way and I just fold it like that. But then it's risk, because this is the side that comes off. There's too much risk that it's going to be riding in these rails and get caught on something. So nah. This is the sort of OCD shit you're going to figure out on your own. Just skip forward in these videos. However many parts there are, shouldn't be more than these 2. Or maybe 3. Actually, you know what? I should just break it up and make this a third. After I get these fans wired, the actual install of everything else and turning on will be a third video. So now I can take this here. I'm just going to plug you in. Boom. Now we could fold this. If I shove this wire in the back here and fold it, that might stay. I could just zip tie it. Well, I have this extra lead that I'm probably going to end up shoving back here also. So it'll just sort of like everything shoved into this upper corner. This is a dead corner. There's no vents or anything. So just putting it in here just sort of like automatically causes it to just be out of the way. Put this up here. Yeah, I mean, that's it. If it's fine there, it's fine there. Here's our fan lead from the other side. From the farthest fan, we have 4 fan leads here that have to get up to this fan lead, which should be easy peasy Japanesey. This is the farthest one. If we go under this bundle, we can just start our daisy chain. And then here's another 2. And we have, this is the next one that's up. So I'm going to connect these 2 together. And this is under this bundle, and this is just going to go along the base and come up and just daisy chain into this. All our fans are plugged in. All our fans are plugged in, and it's relatively neat. This one's a little bit like bold, a little bit brazen where that's being headed over from. But fuck it. This is not a beauty case. This is not a beauty case. This is a storage unit. I'm just trying to keep as many wires away from airflow as possible. So now I'm going to stop the camera. We're going to go to part 3. Or wait, am I doing the hard drives then part 3? I don't know how long this has been. How long have I been doing this? I feel like I've been doing it a while. Alright, I won't know till post when I'm actually trying to just shove videos together. How long we got? I guess what we can do... Yeah, we're going to wire those hard drives in part 3. I'll clear off the desk again. Stop it. Clear off the desk again. We're not soldering anymore. I'm not going to put the soldering stuff away, though. I know better. Something might disconnect or jostle. I'm like, oh shit, that connection feels weak. I'm gonna get everything out again. So I'm gonna move this stuff like to the floor, and then we'll start part 3. You ready? I'll see you next time.